I leaned back in my office chair, staring at the glowing city skyline. It's funny, I muttered to myself, how a man can believe his life is perfect until he notices the cracks. Victor, sitting across from me with a glass of whiskey, smirked. You're getting sentimental again. What cracks? You've got the company, the money, and Alina. Most men would kill for half that, Alina, I repeated softly. Her name used to feel like warmth, like safety. She's the reason I keep pushing forward. She keeps me grounded. Victor leaned forward. Grounded or distracted? You've been skipping meetings for her? You've been different lately. I shook my head. You don't understand. She's everything I ever wanted. I can't imagine life without her. He sighed. I get it, brother. I just hope you're not blind. Love's good, but blindness gets a man killed in business and in life. I laughed lightly, though something about his words struck me deeper than I wanted to admit. You worry too much. Elena's not like that. Later that night, I returned home to silence. Our penthouse was immaculate, but empty. I loosened my tie and checked the clock. 11:47 p.m. She was late again. When the door finally clicked open, Lena walked in, stunning as always. Her black dress hugged her like it was made for her alone. She kissed me softly. Sorry I'm late. Charity dinner ran longer than expected. Without me? I raised an eyebrow. You had work, didn't you? Her tone was sweet, rehearsed. I smiled faintly. You could have called. She brushed her hair over her shoulder, her diamond ring catching the light. My phone died. Stop worrying. I'm here now. I studied her. Something in her eyes flickered, but I let it go. You know I trust you. Good, she said quickly, walking toward the bedroom. Because you should. The following week was filled with little moments that gnawed at me. Missed calls. Sudden errands. Conversations that stopped when I entered the room. At the office, Victor noticed my unease. You're distracted, he said bluntly. Alina again? She's just busy, I replied, though even I didn't believe it. Busy with what? I don't know. My voice cracked. And maybe I don't want to know. Victor leaned closer, lowering his voice. That's dangerous thinking. Ignorance isn't peace, it's suicide. If something feels off, trust your gut. Snapped at him. She's loyal. She's mine. End of story. His eyes softened. Then why are you shaking when you say it? I had no answer. That night, I sat on the couch with Alina curled beside me. She scrolled her phone, smiling faintly at messages she didn't share. Who's that? I asked casually. No one, she said quickly, locking the screen. Just a friend? A friend? She kissed my cheek. You're overthinking again. Stop doubting me. Her touch melted my anger, but the seed of doubt stayed rooted in me. One evening, I returned home earlier than expected. The lights were dim. Alina was on the balcony, her voice low, urgent. I froze, hidden by the doorway. I told you not to call this number. He suspects nothing. Stop worrying about him. I'll handle everything. My blood turned to ice. She paused, listening. Then she whispered, Yes, I'll see you soon. Tell the family I'll be there. The words cut into me like knives. Him, the family. My heart pounded. My perfect life was no longer perfect. It was a lie. I stepped back, my breath shallow, terrified of what I had just heard. Alina ended the call, her tone light as she walked inside. Darling, you're home? I forced a smile, my voice trembling. Yeah? Just got in? She kissed me, sweet as ever, but her lips tasted like poison now, inside my chest. Trust shattered into pieces I could never glue back. I couldn't stop thinking about the message on Elena's phone. DV, whoever he wasn't someone I could ignore. I tried calling her again, but she didn't pick up. My gut told me to act, but carefully. I needed to know the truth before confronting her again. Lucas, I said, pacing the room. I don't know what to do. I need to find out what she's hiding. Dude, slow down, Lucas replied, exhaling sharply. You don't know what you're getting into. She's hiding something serious. You dig too deep, and you could get hurt. I have to know, I said firmly. I can't just sit here wondering if she's lying to me every single day. I need proof. Lucas leaned back, arms crossed. All right, but don't confront her yet. Just watch. Gather information. Quietly. You're not a cop. I know, I said, my hands trembling. But where do I even start? Start with the people around her, Lucas suggested. Friends, coworkers, anyone she trusts. Ask questions casually. The next day, I found myself at a cafe where Alina often met someone I'd never met. That someone turned out to be Marco. He was tall, dark-haired, with a presence that made the room feel smaller. I watched from a distance, trying to appear casual, but every move he made me uneasy. Alina. Over here. Marco waved when she entered, smiling warmly. Hi, Marco, she said. Her voice soft, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. I approached slowly. Hey, Alina, who's this? This is Marco, she said, smiling politely at me. Marco, this is my fiancée Alex. Nice to meet you, Marco said, but his eyes were sharp, studying me like I was an intruder. Nice to meet you too, I said, forcing a smile. Inside, my stomach churned. Something about him screamed danger. We all sat together. I tried small talk, but Marco kept steering Alina away from any topic I brought up. So how's work? I asked Alina. Busy but good, she replied. Marco jumped in. Alina has been handling some sensitive projects. She's amazing at keeping things under control. I frowned. Sensitive projects? Alina gave me a quick glance. It's nothing you need to worry about. I see, I said, forcing a laugh. But Marco's eyes never left me. There was a warning there, subtle but unmistakable. Later, when Alina went to the restroom, Marco leaned closer. You're asking questions you shouldn't. I'm just trying to understand her life, I said, trying to sound calm. Is that wrong? Some things aren't for outsiders, he said, voice low. You think you know her, but you don't. Step back or you'll regret it. I stared at him. I don't scare easily, Marco. She's my fiancée. I deserve the truth, he smirked. Truth is complicated and dangerous. I didn't let him intimidate me. But as he walked away when Alina returned, I felt the first real wave of fear. Something was bigger than a hidden message. It was a life I didn't know existed. One that I was stepping into unknowingly. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat in the dark, replaying every word Marco said, every glance, every smile Alina had given me. I thought I knew her completely, but now every memory felt like a lie. The next morning, I decided to check her laptop while she was in the shower. I promised myself I was only looking for minor clues, nothing serious. But when I saw encrypted folders, I knew this wasn't ordinary. Alina muttered under my breath, "What the hell are you hiding?" Later, I called Lucas again. I found something. Her laptop encrypted folders. I can't access them, but she's hiding more than just messages. Lucas's voice was cautious. I told you. Be careful. If she's mixed up in anything illegal, you don't want to get caught in the middle. I'm already in it, I muttered, feeling a chill. And Marco? He's protective. Too protective. I don't trust him either. Lucas sighed. I know, man. But remember, you need proof. Don't jump to conclusions. Watch, gather, and stay safe. I hung up and stared at the darkened room. Paranoia crept in, whispering doubts about everyone around me. Could I trust Alina at all? Was everyone part of her world now, Marco? Her friends, even co-workers? The thought was suffocating that afternoon. I followed Alina discreetly when she left for a meeting. It didn't go to work. She went to a building I had never seen her enter before. The place had a sleek black exterior, guarded, intimidating. My pulse raced. This wasn't a casual meeting. I ducked behind a wall, watching her enter. And then I saw Marco waiting. He greeted her with that same unnerving smile, and they disappeared inside. I felt my chest tighten. What the hell is she doing? I whispered to myself. Fear, anger, and betrayal tangled in my stomach. I wanted to storm in, demand answers, but I knew I'd be stepping into something dangerous. Hours later, when she returned home, I confronted her. Alina, where were you? She blinked, feigning surprise. I had a meeting with a client. Why? Don't lie to me, I said, voice trembling. I saw Marco waiting. You didn't go to work. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Alex, are you spying on me now? I'm trying to understand my fiancée Alina. You're hiding things, lying, and I don't know who to trust anymore. She sighed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Alex, you're imagining things. Marco is a friend protective, yes, but that's it. You need to trust me. I want to trust you, I said, my voice cracking. But everything messages secrecy. Marco? How am I supposed to? She shook her head, her smile soft but calculated. You love me, Alex. You know I'd never hurt you. Stop overthinking, please. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But as I watched her walk away, my gut twisted. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. And for the first time, I realized love alone couldn't keep me safe from betrayal. I couldn't shake the image of Alina entering that black building with Marco. Something about it didn't feel right. I had to know who she was really involved with. My curiosity turned to fear, but I couldn't let it go. I started digging, quietly calling old contacts, asking questions without revealing too much. Alex, slow down, Lucas warned over the phone. You're talking about dangerous people. Don't get yourself killed chasing rumors. Not making rumors, I said, gripping the phone. I saw her, Marco. That building. Something's happening, Lucas. I need to know. You sure you want to go this deep? He asked. I have to, I said. I can't be blind anymore. I reached out to Detective Sarah, a police contact I'd met through work. Sarah, I need help. It's personal, but it's serious. My fiancée, she, is hiding something. I think it involves organized crime. Sarah paused. Alex, that's a huge claim. You have proof? Not yet, I admitted. But I can see it. I've seen her meet someone dangerous. I need someone on the inside to guide me. Right, she said slowly. I'll help, but we do this carefully. One wrong step, and you could be in real trouble. Agreed, I said, relief washing over me. That night I followed Alina again. She wasn't going to work, wasn't meeting friends. She went to another building in a different part of town. A black SUV waited. From inside, I saw a man step out, all broad-shouldered, with a presence that made everyone around him defer. This had to be him, Don Vieri. I ducked behind a dumpster, my heart pounding. Lucas's voice echoed in my mind, "Be careful." Later, when I called Sarah, I whispered, "Sarah, I think I've found him. The man Elena's meeting, he's dangerous." I saw how people reacted around him. Respect, fear, both. "Don Vieri," she said. "He's a name you don't want to cross." You're playing with fire, I know, I admitted. But I need to understand why Alina is involved with him. Why she's hiding things from me. The next day, I confronted Alina. Alina, who is Don Vieri? Why are you meeting him? She tilted her head, calm, almost amused. Don Vieri, that name again? Alex, are you really accusing me of? Don T played games, I snapped. I've seen you, Marco, the SUV. Don Vieri is dangerous. What do you have to do with him? Her eyes softened. Alex, you're imagining the worst. Don is a business associate. That's all. Nothing more? Nothing more? I repeated, voice shaking. Alina, people fear him. He's not just a businessman. I've heard things, dangerous things. She stepped closer, placing her hand on my arm. I understand why you're scared, but you need to trust me. Everything I do, it's for protection. For us? For us, I echoed, confused. You're keeping secrets, lying to me? How is that protection? I can't tell you everything yet, she said softly. But I promise, nothing you imagine will hurt you if you trust me. I wanted to believe her, but my gut told me otherwise. Alina, this isn't just about trust anymore. I think you're hiding a family or something bigger. Something connected to Don Vieri. Her expression flickered, just for a second. Then she smiled again. Alex, you're thinking too much. I'm still the woman you know. Don't let fear blind you. Fear. That word echoed in my mind. I realized I couldn't ignore this. I needed proof. Real proof. I had to see what she was hiding without her knowing. That night, I started looking through any breadcrumbs I could find, emails, public records, even social media hints. There were encrypted accounts, unusual transactions, locations that didn't match her normal life. The evidence was scattered, subtle, but it was there. I called Sarah again. Sarah, I think Alina is hiding a family, tied to Don Very. I can't confront her without risking everything. Can you help me track this? Alex, that's serious, she warned. You're stepping into a dangerous world. If Viri finds out, you could disappear. Or worse. I know, I said, my hands trembling. But I can't stay blind. I need to do this carefully. I need to find out who she really is. The more I discovered, the more I felt betrayed. Every memory with Alina, every shared laugh, suddenly seemed filtered through a mask. Was any of it real? Or was I just a pawn in a dangerous game? I remembered Marco's words from the cafe. Truth is complicated and dangerous. I realized he wasn't exaggerating. Every move I made, every question I asked, could put me in danger. The next day, I confronted her again. Alina, I know you're hiding more than work secrets. Tell me, are you involved with Don Viri? Is there a family he's keeping hidden? She sighed, almost tenderly. Alex, you don't understand. It's complicated. It's not what you think. And if you keep pushing, you'll ruin everything, our relationship, your own life. Complicated? I snapped. Alina, this isn't complicated. People could get hurt. You could get hurt. I need the truth. Right now. Her eyes glistened, and for a moment I thought I saw fear. But then she smiled, disarming me. I love you, Alex, but some things, some truths are too dangerous to share. Trust me, please. I stepped back, my chest tight. Love and fear collided in my mind. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her. But I couldn't ignore what I saw. I couldn't ignore the danger she was entangled with. I made a decision. Quietly, I would gather proof. Slowly, carefully. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. But I would find out the truth, even if it put me at risk. I swallowed hard, knowing the path I was about to take was dangerous. But I couldn't go back to ignorance. I couldn't ignore Elena's secret life. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I was already in over my head. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying the pieces I'd uncovered about Alina and Don Very. But it wasn't just the mob connection, it was worse. I had found documents on her encrypted drives. Contracts I had unknowingly co-signed. Financial transfers that could ruin me. She wasn't just hiding a secret life. She was setting me up. I dialed Lucas, my hands shaking. Lucas, I found it. She's been planning against me. All these months, she's been manipulating everything, my finances, my career. She could destroy me if she wanted. Alex, calm down, Lucas said, his voice tight but steady. Slow down. Are you sure? I've seen it. The transfers, the contracts, the companies she's linked to. Everything is connected, Lucas. She's trying to take me down and take over everything I've built. There was a pause on the line. Alex, this is serious. You're talking about someone who knows you better than anyone. If you act rashly, you could lose everything. Or worse. I know. I shouted, then swallowed hard. But I can't just sit here. I can't let her get away with this. I trusted her, Lucas. I loved her. And that's why you need to be careful, he said. Don't let anger cloud your judgment. Revenge isn't just about hitting back. It's about strategy, patience. I ran a hand through my hair. Patience, right? But how do I even start? She's too smart. Marco, Don Viri. It's all tangled. I feel trapped. Lucas leaned in, even though I couldn't see him. Then take control of what you can. Protect yourself first. Gather proof. Don't confront her yet. Let her underestimate you, it'll work in your favor. I paced my apartment. Protect myself, gather proof, be patient. I muttered the words like a mantra. My heartbeat slowed slightly, replaced by a cold determination. I realized that love wasn't an excuse anymore. I had to think clearly. The next day, I went through Elena's accounts discreetly. I noticed transactions to shell companies, invoices that didn't make sense, and payments to people I couldn't identify. Each discovery felt like a punch to the gut. I called Lucas again. She's deeper in this than I thought. This isn't just money, it's influence, power, and maybe more. I told you, he said. That's why you need to be careful. You're not just dealing with a cheating fiancé, you're dealing with a network. One wrong move, and it could blow up in your face. I know, I admitted. But I can't just stand by. I have to act. Later that afternoon, I decided to follow Marco discreetly. I saw him meeting with one of Don Viri's henchmen outside a warehouse. They spoke in low tones, exchanged envelopes. I didn't understand everything, but the danger was tangible. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed that I was in over my head, but I couldn't turn back now. I called Lucas again. Marco, he's meeting with one of Viri's guys. I saw them exchanging something. I don't know what it is. Lucas's voice hardened. Alex, listen to me. You're playing with fire. Don't get caught. If she suspects you're following them, it could be the last mistake you make. No, I said quietly, but I need to see it. I need to understand what I'm up against. The evening came, and I confronted Elena not directly about Don Viri, but about the contracts. I had printed copies, kept them hidden until the right moment. Elena, I know about the transfers. The companies you've been funneling money through? Explain this. My voice was low, dangerous. She looked calm, almost serene. Alex, you're reading things wrong. You always overthink. That money, it's for protection, for us. For protection. I laughed bitterly. You've been setting me up, Elena. Trying to ruin me while smiling in my face? How is this protection? She sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Alex, don't let anger blind you. You think you understand, but you don't. Everything I've done, it's complicated. I've kept you safe in ways you'll never understand. I felt a shiver run down my spine. Safe? You call betrayal safe? Her eyes softened. I love you, Alex. I've always loved you. But love isn't always clean or simple. I trusted you, I said, my voice breaking. I believed in us. And you were planning my downfall. She stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. You think you know me? You don't. And if you keep pushing, you'll destroy yourself more than anything else. I backed away, heart pounding. Her calmness, her manipulation, it was infuriating. And yet, it awakened something in me. I realized I couldn't let her control me anymore. I had to take the first step toward reclaiming my life. I spent the night planning. Every document, every transaction, every meeting she attended, it all had to be mapped, understood, and used. I couldn't act rashly, but I also couldn't wait. The betrayal had cut too deep. My identity, my trust, my love all shattered. By morning, I had made a vow to myself. I wouldn't just survive this. I would take control. I would expose Elena's manipulations, protect myself, and ensure she couldn't manipulate anyone else. Lucas called later. Alex, you sound different. Calm, but focused. That's good. Remember, patience and strategy. Don't let emotion dictate your actions. I know, I said. I've accepted the betrayal. Now, I plan my steps carefully. This isn't just about love anymore. It's about justice, about taking back what's mine. I felt a surge of cold determination. My heartbreak had transformed into resolve. I would confront her, but not yet. First, I had to gather proof, understand her network, and ensure I wasn't stepping into a trap. For the first time, I realized the full extent of her betrayal land for the first time. I also realized that I wasn't powerless. I would take control. I would win, and Elena would regret underestimating me. I sat in my apartment, the weight of Elena's betrayal pressing down on me like a physical force. Every document I'd discovered, every suspicious transaction demanded action. But I knew I couldn't rush blindly. I needed allies, strategy, and proof that would hold up if this ever went public. I dialed Sarah's number. Sarah, I need your help. I can't do this alone. You're serious, she said, a note of concern in her voice. Alex, you know this could get dangerous. Are you ready for that? I don't have a choice, I said. I need to expose Alina and Very. If I wait, I could lose everything. There was a pause. All right, she said finally. I'll help. But you follow my lead. One wrong move, and this blows up in your face. I understand, I said, trying to steady my shaking hands. We met the next morning in a quiet cafe. Sarah slid a folder across the table. Here's what I've managed to dig up so far. Financial records, known associates, shell companies. You need someone watching your back, Alex. That's where I come in. I nodded, scanning the documents. This is overwhelming, but necessary. She leaned in, her voice low. You're walking a thin line. Alina smart. Viri's ruthless. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. I won't, I said. I've already felt the pain. Now it's time for action. Next, I met Rico, a tech expert Sarah trusted. Rico, I need access to hidden communications, encrypted messages. Anything linking Alina and Very to illegal dealings? Rico raised an eyebrow. This isn't just digital forensics. You're getting involved with organized crime? Are you sure? I'm sure, I said, voice firm. I need proof, and I need it before Alina suspects anything. He smirked. All right, but this is risky. One mistake, and you're exposed. Follow my instructions exactly. Spent the following days in a haze of screens, code, and documents. Sarah and Rico guided me, teaching me to trace transactions, decode messages, and identify hidden patterns. Each piece of evidence revealed more about Alina's network shell corporations. Offshore accounts, illegal transfers. During a break, Sarah leaned back. Alex, you're crossing legal lines here. You need to be aware of that. I know, I admitted. But if I do nothing, she keeps winning. She manipulates, lies, and controls everything. I can't let her do that to anyone else. Just don't lose yourself in the process, Sarah warned. I nodded. I haven't. I'm more focused than ever. Betrayal made me resourceful. Rico appeared at my door one evening, laptop in hand. Got something. Emails between Marco and Viri's people. Details of transfers, meetings, locations. It's not everything, but it's enough to start connecting dots. I leaned over his shoulder. Perfect. This is exactly what I need. Every piece counts. Careful, he said, closing the laptop. If Alina suspects, you could be in real danger. I know, I said, my voice steady. But I'm ready. I have to be. That night, I reviewed the evidence alone, creating a timeline of events, meetings, transfers, communications. Each discovery fueled my determination. I realized Alina was tightening her control. Subtle changes in her behavior, her increased secrecy, her unexplained absences. She sensed something was off. I rehearsed conversations in my head, anticipating her manipulations. I had to be careful. One slip could cost me everything. My mind raced with ethical dilemmas, hacking emails, following people, exposing secrets. But the betrayal had shifted my moral compass. Justice, not law, became my priority. During a planning session with Sarah, I voiced my concern. Am I going too far? Crossing lines I shouldn't? You're walking a fine line, she said. But sometimes, to stop the dangerous, you have to bend rules. Just don't let yourself become like them. I won't, I promised. I'm doing this for protection, for justice, not for power. Sarah gave me a tight smile. Then we proceed carefully, step by step. Meanwhile, Elena's presence loomed even in her absence. I noticed Marco checking rooms, subtle surveillance, unexplained calls. She was wary, but I was learning to anticipate her moves. Every cautious step I took revealed her tightening grip. One evening, I confronted Lucas over coffee. She's watching, Lucas. I can feel it. Marco's everywhere, and Alina, she's not the same. She knows something's wrong. Lucas shook his head. That's because she is smart. But you're smarter. Keep your head, Alex. Don't let her scare you into mistakes. I won't, I said firmly. I've survived betrayal. Now I plan. Every move she makes, I'm watching. Every secret she hides, I'll uncover. Lucas leaned closer. You're becoming someone else, Alex. Cold, calculated. But that's what you need right now. Don't lose sight of yourself, though. Revenge without purpose can consume you. I haven't lost sight, I said. I'm focused, determined. I'll expose Alina and Viri, but I won't let them destroy me in the process. Over the next week, Rico and I worked long nights tracing every transaction, monitoring communications and mapping Elena's network. Every new piece of information strengthened my plan. I realized I was becoming resourceful in ways I hadn't imagined. Detective, strategist, survivor Sarah cautioned me one final time. Remember, Alex, the closer you get, the higher the risk. You need to anticipate Elena's moves before she anticipates yours, and always have an exit plan. I do, I said, voice firm. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Betrayal made me strong, and now I'm ready to act. I leaned back, staring at the evidence spread across my desk. The timeline, the transfers, the meetings, encrypted communications, all pointed to one conclusion. Alina and Don Veri's world was dangerous. But it wasn't invincible, and I was learning how to dismantle it, piece by piece. The cold determination that had replaced my heartbreak burned inside me. Each discovery was a step closer to exposing the truth. Each planning session with Sarah and Rico sharpened my strategy, and I knew with certainty that I was prepared for the confrontation that would inevitably come. Elena's grip was tightening, but my reach was expanding. The battle lines were drawn, and I was ready to fight. I watched Alina carefully over the next few days, testing the waters without raising alarm. Every word, every glance, every hesitation, she gave herself away in subtle ways. I asked neutral questions, casually probing about meetings and projects. Her reactions were quick, measured, but tiny tells betrayed her control. Alina, I asked one evening, you've been busy with work meetings lately. Everything okay? She smiled faintly. Yes, just routine business. Why do you ask? Just curious, I said, keeping my tone light. You seem distracted. Her eyes flicked briefly toward Marco, who sat near the window. I'm fine, Alex. Nothing to worry about. I nodded, but inside, I cataloged every reaction, every shift in body language. She was careful, but not perfect. And that imperfection was my key. I called Lucas later that night. Lucas, she's reacting. Small tells, but I see them. Marco can't hide everything either. I think I'm starting to gain some psychological upper hand, good Lucas said. But remember, don't push too hard. One wrong word and she tightened her grip or worse. No, I said, but I need to know who's loyal and who's not. Even Don Viri's associates aren't untouchable. The next morning, I met Rico again. Rico, we need to analyze Marco's contacts and anyone linked to Viri's operations. Weak links, patterns, inconsistencies. Something will break, Rico nodded. Already ahead of you. I found a few associates who were uneasy with Viri's operations. They complain privately, make small mistakes, perfect leverage if you play it right. I smiled grimly. Good. We'll use them. Carefully. No hasty moves. Sarah called me later that afternoon. Alex, I have intel. Some of Viri's men have been sloppy. Accounts mismanaged, messages sent to wrong recipients. It's minor, but it could unravel the network if used wisely. Exactly what we need, I said. Every crack counts. And Alina, she noticed the tension. That's when she makes mistakes. I began planting subtle pressure points, dropping hints that I knew more than I let on. I watched Elena's expressions for micro-reactions, tightened jaw, quick glances at Marco, momentary hesitation in speech. She was confident, but even confidence cracks under weight. One evening, I confronted a minor associate of Viri, under the guise of a casual encounter. You work with Viri, right? I asked casually, sipping coffee. Yes, the man said, uneasy. I manage a few logistics. Why? Just curious, I said. I hear some things aren't running smoothly. People complain about transfers, instructions not being clear. You've noticed that too, haven't you? He swallowed hard. Yes, but it's nothing. Just mistakes happen, of course, I said lightly. But sometimes, mistakes can be dangerous if noticed by the wrong people. I let the words linger. He nodded, anxiety obvious. I didn't push further. A seed of doubt had been planted. Later, I debriefed Lucas. Alex, you're getting deeper. You're playing with real danger now. Be careful. I know, I said, but it's working. I see cracks in their network. Even Alina is starting to second guess. You also need to watch yourself, Lucas warned. The more you manipulate, the more you risk losing your own moral compass. I know, I admitted, but I've already crossed the line emotionally. Betrayal has reshaped me. I won't let them manipulate anyone else. And I won't let Alina win. The following day, I observed a transaction between Marco and one of the weaker henchmen. Mistakes were made. Encrypted messages sent to wrong accounts. Financial errors. Small, but revealing. I called Sarah immediately. Sarah, we have leverage. Henchmen are sloppy. Marco is nervous. Alina will notice. Now we wait and apply pressure at the right moment. Alex, remember patience, she said. Use this wisely. One wrong move, and it all collapses. Meanwhile, innocent civilians caught in Very's operations were showing cracks of resistance to people he relied on. Fearful, but willing to cooperate under pressure. Their small testimonies, casual interactions, added layers to my evidence. I reflected on the moral cost. Lucas, I'm crossing lines I never imagined. But seeing Alina manipulate, destroy lives, it justifies the risk. Just don't become her, Lucas said. That's all I'm saying. I spent the night organizing proof, financial records, conversations, digital footprints. The web of Elena's deceit and Very's criminal network was sprawling but fragile. Weak points were emerging, and I was learning to exploit them without revealing myself by midweek. I tested Alina with subtle questions about minor transfers and her supposed business deals. Her reactions were telling hesitation. Quick lies, glances at Marco. Confidence cracking. Alina, that transfer last week, I asked casually. You handled that yourself. Yes, I did, she said, a hint of irritation in her tone. Why? No reason, I said lightly. But I noticed the subtle tremor in her fingers as she reached for her coffee. She was hiding more than she admitted. I called Lucas afterwards. She's slipping. Small cracks, but they're there. Marco is nervous. Elena's cautious. I can see them faltering. Good, he said. But don't rush. Pressure works slowly. Let them reveal themselves. Even Marco showed signs of unease. His quick, almost defensive answers to casual questions, his repeated checking of surroundings, all minor but meaningful. I realized the network wasn't perfect. And even the strongest facades can crumble. That night I sat alone, questioning the cost. Revenge, exposure, the emotional toll it weighed heavily. I thought of every night spent doubting, every moment of heartbreak. I realized the stakes weren't just legal or financial, they were emotional, ethical, and moral. But I also realized something else. Alina had already chosen her path. Betrayal and manipulation had reshaped her morality. I was left with a choice: stand by, powerless, or act. I made a silent vow. I would expose the truth not for vengeance alone, but to reclaim control and prevent her from harming anyone else. The pieces were falling into place. Weak links, flawed henchmen, civilian testimonies, digital breadcrumbs all pointed toward a confrontation. And soon, Alina would realize that I was no longer naive, was no longer trusting blindly. I leaned back, exhaustion and determination intertwined. The psychological upper hand was mine. But I knew the ultimate confrontation loomed, and when it came, Alina wouldn't see it coming. I stood in the dimly lit office, evidence in hand, waiting. Alina entered, her heels clicking against the marble floor, Marco trailing just behind her. Don Very lounged in his chair, silent, observing. I could feel the tension thick enough to slice. Alina, I began, voice calm, deliberate. We need to talk. She tilted her head, smiling faintly. Talk, Alex, what is this about? I placed the folder on the desk, sliding it toward her. Everything. The transactions, the hidden accounts, the meetings. I know what you've been doing, Alina, and I know why. Her smile faltered slightly. Alex, I don't know what you mean. Kept my tone even. Don T. play games. I have proof. You've been hiding a family tied to Don Viri, manipulating me, planning my downfall. All of it. Her eyes darted to Viri, then back to me. How did you... Enough questions, I said. Let's be honest. Were you motivated by fear? Greed? Or did you actually think love justified this? She laughed nervously. Love, you think love can't coexist with survival? With strategy? I shook my head. Not like this. Not betrayal and manipulation. You've used love as a weapon, Alina, and now the consequences are yours. Don Viri's gaze shifted, sharp and assessing. Careful, Alex. You're walking a dangerous line. I'm aware, I said, meeting his eyes steadily, but she's already crossed it. I'm just showing the mirror. Lena's hands trembled slightly as she reached for the folder. I let her. Every movement betrayed tension, fear. She was trying to maintain control, but I could see it slipping. You don't understand, she said softly. I did what I had to do. For us. For everything. Don't make this worse. For us, I repeated. You call this love? Threatening my career, my finances, my trust? Using me as a pawn? That's not love, Alina. That's obsession twisted into greed.
Oh.
Her voice rose, defensive. You don't get it. I was protecting you. Protecting us. Do you think Don Viri plays fair? He doesn't. I had to play the game to survive. Protecting me? I scoffed. You've endangered me at every turn. And now, your so-called protection is unraveling. Marco shifted uneasily behind her, but I ignored him. My focus was on Alina and the reactions she couldn't hide. Viri leaned forward, eyes narrowing. She's not lying entirely, Alex. She's complicated. She's manipulated, controlled, and selfish, I said firmly. She chose her path, and now she faces the consequences. Elena's shoulders slumped slightly, the facade cracking. You can't understand. You don't know what it's like to be trapped between love and fear, between loyalty and survival. I understand perfectly, I said, voice steady. I trusted you, loved you, and you betrayed me. That's the reality I face, Alina, and I won't let it continue. She laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. And what will you do, Alex? Expose me? Destroy everything? Is that justice or revenge? Both, I said calmly. Justice for what you've done. Revenge for what you've taken from me. But mostly control. I'm taking control of the situation you tried to dominate. Her eyes filled with tears, anger, and fear, an emotional storm I had been waiting to see. You're cruel, she whispered. No, I said softly. I'm clear-eyed. I see the truth. And now, everyone else will too. Barry leaned back, assessing the room, noticing the shift. His authority, once absolute, began to waver as he watched Elena's unraveling. For the first time, I could see him hesitate. Alina, I said, lowering my voice, this isn't about threats anymore. It's about exposure. Every secret, every manipulation, I'll have proof. And soon, everyone will know. Her gaze flickered between the folder and my eyes. Panic crept in. You can't. I can, I said, and I will if necessary. But I want you to understand this isn't personal hate. This is reality catching up to you. Marco stepped forward. Alina, maybe stay back, I snapped, and he froze. His presence, once intimidating, now seemed cautious. Even he sensed the shift in control. Elena's voice trembled. Alex, please, you don't have to do this. I already am, I said. Step by step. Carefully. But I'm done being blind, done being manipulated. The power dynamic has changed, Elena. You just haven't realized it yet. Viri's jaw tightened. You're bold, Alex. Bold enough to challenge her and me. I'm not challenging you, Viri, I said. I'm exposing the truth. And that truth doesn't bend to fear or intimidation. Elena's breathing grew shallow. Her composure, her control, her manipulations all crumbling. I kept my voice calm, measured, letting her emotions spiral while I maintained absolute clarity. I trusted you, I said, voice quiet but steady, and you betrayed me. Now your choices have consequences. You can try to manipulate, you can try to intimidate, but I'm ready. I've prepared. And you've underestimated me from the start. She sank into a chair, defeated, fragile. Her pride, her schemes, her lies narrowing before my eyes, sharp, calculating. I could see the wheels turning in his mind. He respected control, power, but he despised weakness. And Elena's fear, her vulnerability, exposed him to doubt. This changes things, he said quietly. I'll consider my next move carefully. I nodded, calm. Good, because any move you make now, Elena, will be on your own terms. You lost the leverage the moment you betrayed me. She looked up, tears streaked down her face. You'll regret this. You'll destroy yourself with this path? I won't, I said, voice unwavering. I've survived betrayal. I've endured manipulation. I've calculated every step. And now, I take control. The room was heavy with tension. Silence fell as Elena's breathing and Viri's watchful gaze filled the space. The confrontation had shifted the power. I was no longer the pawn, but I knew this victory, as tense and fragile as it was, had only opened the door to retaliation, and that retaliation could destroy everything I had fought for. I clenched my fists, eyes steady. One thing was clear. The ultimate battle was still ahead, and I would be ready. I watched Elena from across the street, hidden in the shadowed alley. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and her carefully crafted world was collapsing in real time. Don Viri was nowhere to be seen. He'd already distanced himself, sensing the exposure coming. Elena, what do you have to say about these charges? A reporter shouted as she tried to maintain her composure. I can explain, she stammered, panic rising in her voice. It's not what it looks like. I clenched my fists, holding back any outward satisfaction. Inside, though, a grim sense of justice and melancholy settled over me. She had manipulated, betrayed, and destroyed trust, but now karma was unfolding naturally. Later I met Lucas at a quiet cafe. You see her? I asked, voice low but steady. Lucas nodded, eyes following her on a nearby screen in a news feed. She's unraveling fast. Even Marco's looking worried. They didn't expect this. Not you, not the exposure. I know, I said, sipping my coffee. It's strange. Part of me feels vindicated, but part of me is empty. We're done, Lucas. Completely. He studied me. That's the cost, Alex. Justice isn't always sweet. Sometimes it's bitter. Sometimes it leaves scars, even when you win. I understand, I admitted. But she has to face the consequences. Every lie, every manipulation, she deserves this reckoning. Back in the apartment, I received a call from Sarah. Alex, it's done. The financial records, the communications, they've been made public. Viri's distancing himself, and Elena, well, she's facing everything. Legally, socially, professionally. Perfect, I said calmly. Thank you, Sarah. You've been incredible. Careful, she warned. Even with Elena exposed, there are still loose ends. Don't get complacent. I won't, I said. I've learned the cost of complacency. I saw Elena on television later, sitting in a press conference, pleading, apologizing, trying to salvage dignity. You don't understand. She shouted, tears streaming down her face. I did it for protection. For survival. For us. Alex, please. I turned off the TV. My emotions were conflicted satisfaction mixed with lingering grief. She had begged, manipulated, and tried to twist the narrative, but I remained firm. I had no intention of letting her words sway me. Lucas leaned back, observing. You're steady, strong. But don't let her desperation make you feel anything she doesn't deserve. You've been manipulated long enough. No, I said. I've learned, and I won't be manipulated again. Not by her, not by anyone. The next day, I visited the courthouse to watch proceedings unfold from a distance. Minor henchmen appeared, visibly nervous as the truth emerged. They were caught between loyalty to Very and fear of Elena's exposure. One approached me cautiously. Alex, we didn't know she'd go this far. We followed orders, but stop, I said calmly. You don't need to justify yourselves. Just make sure you stay honest now. That's all that matters. The man nodded, relief and fear etched on his face. Thank you for giving us a chance to do the right thing. Even Marco was revealed to be a weak link. He had quietly assisted in exposing Elena's secrets, though with hesitation. I noted the irony. Her loyal protector had crumbled first. Back home. I reviewed the evidence one last time, confirming every detail had been publicized. The mob's operations were exposed, the financial trails were traced, and Elena's manipulations documented. The victory was clean, legal, and absolute. Yet a hollow ache remained. The relationship I had once cherished, the trust I had poured into her, was irreversibly gone. The emotional cost was steep, despite the satisfaction of seeing justice served. That evening, Sarah called again. Alex, Elena's in custody, and Viri is keeping his distance. You've done what needed to be done. Now protect yourself. They may retaliate, but you're ready. I'm ready, I said quietly, and I understand the consequences of this path. I've grown, I've changed. I won't be naive again. I thought back to our confrontation. Elena's fear, the wavering confidence, the desperate attempts at manipulation, and had shifted. I had stayed calm, strategic, letting her unravel while I maintained control. That patience, that calculated restraint, had paid off. Later, Lucas came by. So she's fallen. The betrayer is exposed. What now? I considered the question. Now I move forward, carefully, mindful. I've won, but nothing is simple. The emotional scars remain. I need to rebuild, piece by piece. He nodded. And you will. You've been tested, Alex. But that clarity, that strength that will carry you forward. I watched the news again. Seeing Elena's world collapse, once powerful, now vulnerable, facing consequences she had refused to consider. The mob, shaken by exposure, was reorganizing. The risk remained, but my preparation, my patience, and my moral clarity gave me an edge. Elena appeared on camera one last time, tears streaking her face. Alex, please. I didn't mean. I turned away. There was nothing left to say. Her attempts to manipulate or plead were irrelevant now. I had done what I needed. Justice, karma, truth, it was no longer my burden to explain. Lucas placed a hand on my shoulder. You've grown through all of this. Stronger, clearer, smarter. Don't lose that now. I won't, I said. I've seen betrayal, manipulation, and obsession. I've endured, and I've acted. The emotional toll was high, but the outcome necessary. Even with Elena defeated, I knew the world wasn't entirely safe. Retaliation, loose ends, and Very's residual power still lingered. But for the first time in months, I felt control. I had reclaimed my life, my agency, my moral clarity. The media continued to cover Elena's downfall, her public disgrace, her legal challenges. Each headline, each broadcast confirmed the collapse of the empire she had tried to manipulate. I leaned back in my chair, exhaustion and relief mingling. I had won, but at a cost. The betrayal had changed me, hardened me, and clarified my path. I understood the weight of justice, the cost of revenge, and the clarity of moral conviction. And though the future remained uncertain, I was ready. Elena's fall was complete, but my journey, my true test, was only beginning. I sat in my apartment, sunlight filtering through the blinds, and let the silence sink in. The chaos of Elena's downfall and Viri's retreat had passed. For the first time in months, I could breathe without tension clawing at my chest. Lucas walked in, carrying 2 coffees. You look different, he said, handing me one. Calmer, clearer. I took the cup and nodded. I feel lighter, I guess. The storm has passed, but the aftermath, it's still there. Of course it is, Lucas said, leaning back on the sofa. You faced betrayal, danger, and manipulation all at once. That doesn't just vanish. I know, I admitted, but I've learned a lot about trust, about myself, about what I'm willing to fight for, and what I'm not. Lucas smirked. And what are you not willing to fight for? I smiled faintly. I'm not willing to let anyone control me again. Not Elena, not Marco, not even Viri's shadow. He nodded approvingly. Good, that's the key. Independence, Alex. You've earned it. Over the next few days, I reconnected with people who truly mattered. Civilians affected by Viri's operations reached out, expressing gratitude for exposing the truth. Their words were simple, sincere, and grounding. Alex, one woman said, as we met in a quiet cafe, you didn't have to put yourself at risk for us. But you did. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, I replied, feeling an unfamiliar warmth. I did it because it was right, and because people like you deserved a chance at normal life. I spent time with Rico and Sarah, solidifying bonds formed in the fire of conflict. You've been remarkable, Rico said. I've never seen someone stay this calm under pressure and still think strategically. Thanks, I said. I couldn't have done it without your help. None of this would have been possible alone. Sarah nodded. Her usual stoicism softened. You've grown, Alex. The experience changed you, but not in a way that makes you reckless. You've learned to balance justice and self-preservation. I reflected on the months of betrayal and danger. It had reshaped me, hardened me, yes, but also clarified my priorities. I understood who to trust, who to value, and who to let go. Elena's absence was painful, but her betrayal had forced me to evolve. One evening, Lucas and I sat on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker. You seem at peace, he said. I am, I said slowly. Not entirely, but more than I've felt in a long time. Its strange victory doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like responsibility. I have to maintain this clarity, this moral compass, or it all falls apart. Lucas nodded. You're right, and you're stronger for it. The people around you will notice too. You'll rebuild relationships carefully with people who matter. I thought about the minor allies, the civilians, even hesitant henchmen who had chosen the right side. I want to rebuild slowly, with honesty, with trust, with boundaries. No shortcuts, Luke smiled. Good. And what about love, Alex? After Elena? I shook my head. That chapter is closed. I've learned the hard way that love without trust is dangerous. I need to find balance first, self-respect, independence, integrity, before I open myself again. The next few weeks were routine, healing, and reflective. I went through the legal documents to ensure Elena's exposure was thorough, but I didn't obsess. The danger was neutralized. The lesson learned. I focused instead on restoring my work, my friendships, and my life. I met with one of the civilians affected by Viri's operations again. Alex, your actions have given us hope. I can start my business again safely. I feel like a weight has been lifted. Good, I said, smiling genuinely. That's all I ever wanted to help, without causing harm to myself or others. That's the point of justice. Lucas checked in daily. You're holding up well, he said one evening. But remember, the aftermath can linger longer than the danger. I know, I said. But I'm learning patience with myself. Healing is part of rebuilding. I also reconnected with Marco, surprisingly. He approached cautiously, guilt evident in his posture. Alex, I didn't know the full extent. I regret how I handled things. I studied him carefully. You hesitated when it mattered, but you also helped indirectly. I can't undo the past, but I can acknowledge honesty. That's enough, he nodded, relief and appreciation mingling. Thank you for giving me that chance. I spent evenings alone sometimes, reflecting on the lessons learned. Betrayal had been painful, but it forced clarity. Revenge had been necessary, yes, but not the ultimate goal. The goal was understanding, moral clarity, and reclaiming my agency. I spoke to Sarah one afternoon. I've learned patience, strategy, and moral integrity through all of this. It's not just about defeating someone, it's about reclaiming who I am. You've earned that, Alex, she said. Few come out of these storms with that clarity intact. You did it. I also reached out to minor allies, expressing gratitude, checking in on their well-being. Small connections, often overlooked, became anchors for my new life. Each conversation reinforced my belief that trust carefully given could be rebuilt. Lucas and I reviewed my work and finances, ensuring Elena's influence was fully eradicated. Everything's clean now, he said. The past is handled. You can move forward without fear. Exactly, I said. This is the first time in months I feel fully in control. Not just of my actions, but of my emotions. I'm not naive anymore, but I'm not bitter either. One evening, I sat quietly, reflecting. The city's skyline glimmered, a reminder of possibility and new beginnings. I had faced betrayal, danger, heartbreak, and moral dilemmas and emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. I thought of Elena briefly. The love we had shared, the trust shattered it, was gone. But the lessons remained. I had reclaimed myself, and that clarity could never be taken away. Lucas came by one last time before leaving for a trip. You've rebuilt a lot, Alex. Not just life, but yourself. Don't lose this clarity. I won't, I promised. This is just the beginning. I'll rebuild carefully, with trust, boundaries, and respect, and I'll ensure I never lose myself again. As I watched the city lights fade into the night, I felt a quiet satisfaction. The storm had passed. The ashes of betrayal had been cleared, leaving space for growth, trust, and a life rebuilt on solid ground. I was ready for whatever came next, stronger, wiser, and fully myself. I stepped into my office, sunlight streaming through the windows, casting long patterns across the polished floor. Everything was quiet, orderly, controlled. For the first time in months, I felt like I owned my life fully. Not just the walls around me, but my choices, my decisions, my path. Lucas leaned against the doorway, a grin spreading across his face. You've changed, Alex. Composed like you've taken your throne, literally and figuratively. I chuckled softly. It wasn't easy. Nothing worth having ever is. But I feel balanced. Finally, you deserve it, he said, crossing his arms. You fought, you endured, and you emerged smarter, wiser, stronger. Most people crumble under what you faced. I didn't just fight to win, I said, pacing slightly. I fought to understand, to see the truth. Justice isn't just about revenge, it's about clarity, responsibility, and control. Lucas nodded thoughtfully. And you've got it all. Elena's gone. Fairy's influence is neutralized. No one can manipulate you again. You're untouchable now. It's untouchable. Yes, but cautious, I said. I've learned the hard way that power without awareness is dangerous. I can't let my guard down, but I also won't let fear rule me. Sarah's voice came over the intercom. Alex, can we talk? Of course, I said, tapping the button. She appeared moments later, her usual pragmatism softened by a faint smile. I've been watching your progress. You've handled everything with precision, patience, and moral clarity. Most people would have rushed revenge and lost themselves in the process. I didn't want to lose myself, I admitted. The goal was never Elena's destruction, it was reclaiming my life, my agency, my sense of justice. Sarah nodded. And you've done that. You've taken your throne, Alex, without letting obsession or emotion cloud your judgment. That's rare, remarkable. I leaned back, thinking of all the steps that had brought me here, the confrontation, the evidence, the betrayals, and the slow, careful dismantling of their schemes. Each move had been deliberate. Each choice had tested my patience, my morality, and my resilience. Lucas poured us both coffee. So what's next? You've won, the enemies are neutralized, but you've got life to rebuild, right? Yes, I said. Rebuilding doesn't end with victory. It's ongoing. Relationships need care, Trust has to be reestablished and self-respect maintained. I can't afford shortcuts now. I can see you've grown, Lucas said. Stronger, wiser, more grounded. That's the real victory. I nodded, reflecting on Alina and Don Viri. Alina had tried to manipulate me. I'll use love as a weapon and hide a dangerous secret world. Viri had been a looming threat, his influence widespread and frightening. Both were consequences of a world I didn't fully understand before but now. Their shadows no longer loomed. Do you miss anything? Lucas asked quietly. I paused. I miss what could have been, perhaps. The love, the trust, but not the deception. I've mourned that. I've learned that sometimes losing what you love is necessary to save yourself. Lucas smiled softly. Profound as always. And you've learned balance, Alex. You're not hardened, just wiser. I thought of my allies, my friends, and even the civilians who had been affected. The people around me now, they're here because they matter. They're loyal, honest, and capable. That's what real life is. Not illusions, manipulation, or empty facades. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Sounds like you've rebuilt not just your life, but your worldview. Yes, I said. I've rebuilt it on a foundation of clarity, patience, and strength. I've taken lessons from betrayal and danger and turned them into armor. Not for aggression, but for protection, for control, and for justice. Sarah leaned in. Alex, you've also inspired others. People have seen your approach, your moral clarity, your patience. That's power in its purest form, not domination, but influence through integrity. I smiled faintly. Power without morality is dangerous. I've learned that. True influence comes from respect, fairness, and wisdom, not fear. Lucas chuckled. Sounds like you've become your own version of royalty. Not through obsession, not through vengeance, but through patience, intelligence, and inner strength. That's exactly it, I said. The throne isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned through decisions, sacrifices, and staying true to one's principles. I've taken my throne, but it's not just a symbol of victory. It's a symbol of my growth, my moral clarity, and my resilience. I glanced at the city skyline, the lights shimmering like countless opportunities waiting. For so long, my world had been chaos, betrayal, manipulation, and danger. Now, it was mine, controlled, understood, and respected. Lucas leaned against the railing, his expression serious. You're ready for anything now, Alex? You've faced storms, and you've emerged unbroken. That's rare. I know, I said quietly. And I won't forget the lessons. Alina, vary even the minor obstacles they taught me: vigilance, patience, and moral clarity. I've survived, yes, but I've also learned how to live fully and wisely. I thought about the moments of doubt, the nights of fear, the ethical dilemmas, and the moral conflicts. Every step had tested me, but now the path was clear. My mind, my heart, and my choices were aligned. Lucas smiled faintly. So the throne is yours. What now? I took a deep breath. Now I live. I rebuild my life carefully, valuing trust, honesty, and integrity above all. I maintain my strength, my clarity, and my moral compass. I'll help those who deserve it, stand firm against deception, and continue to grow. That's the real power. Sarah nodded. And that's true justice. Not revenge. Not obsession. But understanding, patience, and integrity. You've done it, Alex. I allowed myself a rare, genuine smile. Yes, I've done it. And it feels complete, bittersweet though it may be. The lessons, the pain, the victories, they're all mine. And I'll carry them wisely. Lucas clapped me on the shoulder. You've earned this, truly. I looked out the window one last time as the sun dipped below the horizon. The city lights sparkled, a reminder of opportunity, growth, and life reclaimed. I had faced betrayal, danger, and manipulation, and emerged stronger, wiser, and fully myself. The throne of justice wasn't inherited, demanded, or taken by force. It was earned through patience, intelligence, and inner strength. I had claimed it, and nothing could take it away. Alina was gone. Don Viri was neutralized. My allies were loyal, my life was mine, and my moral clarity was absolute. I had one. Not through obsession, not through fear, but through truth, strategy, and resilience. And now, at last, I could sit on my throne and know that justice, in its purest form, had been served.